Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Cook, and today I'm going to be talking about reactance theory in the USA versus Brazil women's national team game. And yes, I am talking about the one with 15 yellow cards and 8 red cards. So, according to our textbook, reactance theory came to us from the social psychologist Jack Brim, and this happens when people feel like freedom is being taken away and they respond with anger, defiance, or an attempt to regain control. In the sports world, that freedom is considered the ability to play, show emotions, and compete without interference. In this game, freedom was being restricted by cards, so yellow cards are high warnings to players, coaches, or fans, and then red cards are ejections, and they felt like they had a freedom loss of playing physically, challenging calls, expressing emotion, and competing without feeling targeted. So when players feel like they have less freedom, they have more reactance behaviors. My first example, a Brazilian player fouled a US player, and from that, they felt like their freedom was being taken away because there was a free kick given against Brazil, and they felt angry. And so, in an attempt to regain autonomy, they stepped in front of the free kick when they weren't supposed to, and they lost autonomy by receiving a yellow card. So, in contrast, the US actually reacted differently to the cards that they received. They backed away, accepted the call, and then reset and continued to play. So, again, they have the same restriction as the Brazil team, but they have a lower reactance. My last example is when the Brazil team decided to go up to the referee after the game, and they felt like they were restricted and they were frustrated, so they confronted the referees, and from that confrontation they received a punishment of a red card because they said things that they weren't supposed to say. In the article Social Psychology and Human Nature, written in 2024, it explains that restricting autonomy triggers psychological reactance, therefore increasing frustration, tension, and the urge to push back. So the triggers come from the cards, or the yellow card triggered a restriction of freedom, and then a red card triggered a major loss of freedom because when you get a red card, you are ejected from the game. In another article, the sense of belonging reduces in-group favoritism in children, written in 2022. It explains that belonging reduces in-group favoritism and increases fairness. So the yellow cards threaten belonging, so the behavior shifted to the players. In the US cases, the behavior was dialed back, and then in Brazil's case, it was dialed up. And then red cards mimic social exclusion because when you get a red card, you are kicked out of the game, so you feel socially excluded. In an article, Green Space Exposure and Children Behavior, a systematic review given to us in 2022, it talks about how green space promotes pro-social behavior and emotional regulation. So this game was played in Brazil in front of a Brazilian crowd of 55,000 people. And so the US kind of had a buffer because they felt like they were in a huge environment where they probably weren't accepted. So they dialed down back on their behavior. Overall, reactance theory helps explain why this match spiraled out, and because both teams felt restricted, again, they had different reactions, but Brazil did react more intensely, which led to more freedom loss, the red cards, and this is a perfect example of how psychology shows up in sports, specifically in high-pressure environments like this game. Thank you for listening.